Welcome Tamers, wrong TCG. Welcome Pirates, Tamers looking to be pirates. Here we are looking at the One Piece TCG. It has been out for a few months already. We are doing a tutorial showcase here, teaching you guys how to play. Keep in mind, I will be referring to a lot of Digimon because I come from Digimon, obviously. So that's going to be a way to kind of compare the two. Starting off with the structure deck, we got actually a total of 61 cards in total. 50 is still in the deck here. 10 are considered Don cards, which we'll get to. They're going to go down in the cost area. And then we have your leader card, which here we go. And we'll segue into the leader card. What is a leader card? So basically in this scenario right here, we got Luffy that is going against Eustace up there, right? So we got Eustace up here. This card, in order for you to win, you have to attack the leader here. So Luffy has 5,000 damage, or in other words, DP, right? On the other side, you got Strike. That's his attribute. You have his effects, obviously, in the script right there. If you're not sure, it does say there leader Monkey D. Luffy. And then another way you can know that it's a leader card, it doesn't have a play cost up in the bottom, in the top left corner. I'm sorry, just like Zoro right there does have top left corner. The important thing to know about these leader cards is that number 5 with life on it, which is on the bottom right hand corner. That means how many life you have in total. In other words, security, right? How much security are you going to have? So in this sense, Luffy's going to have a total of 5 security, aka life points, and then Eustace Kid will also just have 5 life points. So that is a leader card in a nutshell. And a very important thing I forgot to mention here is the color of your leader card. That has to be the color cards that are in your deck. There are multicolored cards, so I believe there is a Luffy that is red and green, so you would be able to put red and green cards in the deck. But since this Luffy is only red, you can only have red cards in your deck, and of course for the Eustace Kid you can only have green cards in the deck. Moving on to the next type of card, which I already kind of showed it a little bit, we have the character cards. So the character cards will go in the character area. Obviously you got the leader position here, the stage position, which we'll get into, your deck right here, the trash, the cost area, and of course the Don. Onto the character cards here, right? So that damage is there, everything else kind of similar there. Obviously you'll know it's a character card because on top of Zoro it says character, and then underneath that you see it says Supernova / Straw Hat Crew. So think of that as being their traits, like for example D Brigade or Elemental Heroes, if you want to go back to Yu-Gi-Oh. So things like that. It just has its traits, which cards will kind of bounce off of traits, you know, triggering effects, etc. And then if you want to get really kind of nerdy with it, down on the bottom right hand corner you see ST01, that's starter deck 1, card 13 of that starter deck. So kind of like the BT format, right? The EX4 and all that stuff. Tells you where it's from and what number card in that set it is. Up next we do have here an event card. So event cards are, think of just option cards. That's really what these are, and we'll talk about the counter there and all that stuff. I don't have a stage card here, so I'm not going to be able to talk about it. Once I do get it, I'll talk about it, but if I don't, then I'll talk about it. So now let's go into the setup here. We did place our leader. We got 5 cards that we drew. After that, you get to decide if you want a mulligan. So what's cool about this TCG is it does have the mulligan rule already. Let's say you don't like your card for whatever reason, we can go ahead and mulligan, which we'll mulligan just to show you. There we go, we mulligan. So after that, you keep your card, and just to save time, I did choose to keep Eustace Kid's cards. So now after you decided who goes first by paper, scissors, rock, or any other way, shape, or form you want to do it, and now you set up your life. So there we go, aka security. So you kind of have the same format as Digimon there. Now you see that this card flipped over. So this is a Don card, and a Don card you could think of as how much memory you have in order to summon characters or give them power, which is, this is what Don cards do. Don cards, you can actually go ahead and, it says right there, your turn plus 1,000. You can choose to drag it to a character and it'll give them additional DP damage. Important thing to notice, when you are going first, you will only reveal 1 Don card, and just like everything else, obviously you can attack the first turn. If you do play a character, which here we'll play a Chopper, we do have a Don card. He costs 1 Don card. So there we go, we're gonna play him, and now you see that Don card suspended, or in the TCG here it's called resting. So they're either gonna rest or they're gonna refresh, aka unsuspend. So this Chopper got played by resting 1 Don card, and now we have a blocker, and of course he has summoning sickness, and you can attack the first turn. So now you can just go ahead and end your turn. Captain Useless Kid does take his turn here, draws. If you don't go first, you reveal 2 of the Dawn cards. From then on, you reveal 2 Dawn cards. If you reach the maximum, which I believe is 10, let's say if you have 9, you can only have 10 anyway, so you would only reveal 1. So Eustace does start off with 2 Dawn cards with the draw, and of course he also does have summoning sickness here. Now if we look at the hand here, we do have an event card. What we're gonna do here, since we do have 2 Dawn cards, we're gonna go ahead and play our own blocker. We're gonna go ahead and play Beige, and then we're gonna go ahead and play Beepo. So now you see both of those Dawn cards suspended, and just like that, I can't really attack. You can choose to activate their main effects, of course, but since I can't attack, now you go ahead and pass turn. And now back to Luffy's turn. So as you can see, the game flow is kind of similar to Digimon, where start of your turn you get to draw, you unsuspend, and here the Dawn cards are included, right? You get 2 Dawn cards and they unsuspend. So now Luffy has 3. Chopper can now attack, and now Luffy can also attack as well. So now here we go with 3 Dawn cards. Luffy is gonna deploy Zoro, and there he is for a play cost of 3. In other words, suspending 3 Dawn cards. Now he is on the battle area. Chopper can attack, but since he is a blocker, we are not going to choose to attack with it because we want to be able to block. Now we're going to go ahead and use Luffy's main effect, and usually you can't move up Dawn cards, but his ability allows you to move up cards that are rested. So that's a cool effect for him. So now he's going to be sitting at 6,000 damage when he attacks. And here we go. Luffy is going to declare an attack. And just like in Digimon, you can only attack here, which Eustace here would be security and or the player. And of course, any rested, I was about to say Digimon, any rested pirate here, unless obviously there's going to be effects that allow you to attack unsuspended pirates. So now here, Luffy is going to go ahead and attack. And there you go. There you see the added 1,000 DP from the Dawn card. He's at 6,000. Now here with this battle, of course, now you can decide to choose to block, right? So in this case, we're not going to block, because now we're going to show you guys this step that Digimon does not have, kind of getting implemented now, kind of with the blast ace, right? Since we didn't block, now One Piece has this counter step, and the counter step, the way this works is only the defending player has a counter step. If I attacked with Luffy and he was at 5,000 and the attack went through, I will still cause 1 damage to the Eustace Kid, because that's just the way the rules are. So if you are at equal power or higher, you will cause a damage to the defending pirate here. That is why they have a counter step here, because now we're at 1,000. And now here we can talk about these counters. As you see with heat here, on the left side towards the middle, it's sideways, it says counter plus 1,000. So this is when these effects will trigger in the counter step. Now I would use heat and give him an additional 1,000, but here if I do that, he's going to be at 6,000, and by rule, if we're at the same damage, then I will still take damage, therefore I would lose. So I would have to use 2 cards here to bump it up to 6k. We're going to use 1, he's at 6, using another one. Now he's up at 7, and now we can resolve the attack because I'm down with the counter step. You can activate as many of these as you can, meaning if you have a lot of them in your hand, you can activate all of them, resolve the attack, and now nothing happens. So same thing with the character. If a character were to attack, defends himself by giving himself more damage power than the attacking pirate, nothing happens, and then the character would just remain rested. The only way the characters get deleted is when you do attack. And now, so now ending turn, Eustace, now he has 4 Dawn cards. Did draw another Hawkins, reveal 2 more Dawns. We are at 4 Dawns. Eustace is gonna add a Dawn card to Beepo. And you see here, in order to swing, like as I was saying before, if I do attack this Luffy, and let's say I don't, he's only at 4,000, so he is less than the Luffy. I choose not to block and resolve the attack. Nothing happens, which is good, but then bad, because now if you do end your turn, he is suspended, and now that Zoro could go ahead and swing and kill it. So I got a little ahead of myself. I was gonna attack with the Eustace and then activate his effect. So here I activated his effect, which would allow him to restand, giving him basically you're able to swing twice. So my bad. So now here, if we go ahead and go for the swing at Luffy, now we have no block. Well, we do have a blocker. You can choose to block or not, but here we're gonna go ahead and see if we could counter with anything. And here we do have a Brock that gives 2,000 for the counter. It would put me above the threshold. Nico Robin will also just put me above the threshold. So now we'll just use Nico, and now Luffy's at 6,000, resolving the attack, nothing happening. And now, of course, ending turn, Luffy's turn, unsuspend, reveal 2 Don cards, draw another Nico. Now Luffy has 5 active Don cards, and Luffy is gonna choose to play this event card, Gum Gum Jet Pistol, costing for 4. And now here, main effect, KO up to one of your opponent's character with 6,000 power or less. So think of this as option cards like I stated before. If you have the memory to use them, you can use them, and that's exactly what's happening here. The trigger, we will talk about the trigger effect in a second. So now we're gonna go ahead and play that event card for 4 Don, resting 4 Don, choosing a target. Here I'm gonna choose a blocker, so Luffy is gonna get rid of that blocker. Bam, and there we go, 4 rested cards got played, and Beige does go to the trash. Now Eustace has no blocker, and Zoro is gonna get a Don card, unlocking his ability Don times 1. This character gains 1,000 power. So added with that 1,000 power, now the Zoro has 2,000 more power, making him a 7,000 hitter. And now here we're gonna go ahead and swing into Captain Eustace Kid. He does have no blocker, and he does have a counter, but for this counter you need 2 active Don cards, and you are not able to use it. So unfortunately, Eustace has to resolve the attack, and now there we go, 1 damage is hit. Eustace is now at 4 damage, and you saw when you take a damage, kind of like Pokemon, where it's kind of like a prize card, but it's your damage instead, it goes into your hand. So now that's where that trigger from this Gum Gum Jet Pistol would trigger, is if you get it from your life. If you reveal it from your life, then that trigger activates, and you would be able to activate that card's main effect. So that is how the trigger works for these cards. Now being Luffy's turn, he is going to activate his main effect and place 1 rested Don card on himself, and he's going to choose to swing at the Eustace for 6,000, and still no cards to activate counter for Eustace, forcing him to resolve the attack, taking another damage, revealing another repel. That's, yeah, you bricked, homie. Luffy now gets to end turn, and here we go, revealing 2 more Don cards, unsuspending the pirates. Now Captain Kid will deploy Heats for 2 Don cards, resting 2, having 4 up still active. Captain Kid is now gonna go for the attack on Zoro. Oh, and as you can see, that effect is actually all turns, because now Zoro is at 6,000. Eustace is still at 5. You can block, but here he is higher, therefore the attack will resolve, and now nothing happens. Eustace will now activate his effect, trashing 1 card from the hand, suspending 3 Don to unsuspend himself, and now he's going to give himself a Don card. And now here we go for the second swing, going onto Zoro for 6,000. There is a blocker. However, here Luffy does have cards to give him DP, so we're going to go ahead and save that blocker, and now placing a Nico, giving Zoro 7,000, resolving the attack. Nothing happening. Still Captain's turn. However, that Beeple can't attack because Luffy is at a staggering 5,000 compared to that 3,000. So now Eustace Kid is forced to just end his turn, starting Luffy's turn, unsuspending, and now as you saw there, the Don card did go back. Now sitting at 7, Luffy can make some pretty big plays. Unfortunately, we do not have any cards with a high play cost here. Jinbei is gonna get deployed for 3, and now we're gonna deploy a Brock for 2, and now his on play, give 2 rested Don cards to your leader or one of your characters. We're gonna go ahead and give that to Zoro so he could get an additional 1,000 for his Don card, making him an 8,000 damage hitter. We're gonna activate Luffy's effect here and place a rested Don card on himself, making him a 6,000 hitter. And here we go, swinging into Captain Eustace Kid for 5,000. There is no blocker, and unfortunately this dude just not having a break. So here Eustace is unfortunately going to have to resolve, taking another damage and getting a X Drake, finally getting a card with a counter, no triggering effect. And now still Luffy's turn, and now Luffy can now choose to swing at Captain again, no blocker. Here he finally has a card that has counter, however it's just going to give him 1,000 more damage, making him a 6,000 hitter. So in this case it's just better to keep X Drake in hand. And now we got another Beeple with no triggering effect, so no trigger effect. Luffy has to end turn because he cannot attack with these 2, and of course he's not strong enough to attack with the chopper. So now turn end, Captain Eustace Kid's turn, and now Captain Kid has 8 Don cards now active with 3 bodies on the board, potentially 4 attacks here. Eustace will get 1 Don card, giving another Don card here to Heat. And now Eustace will attack that Zoro, finally trying to get rid of him. And now here block phase, since we don't have a card with that could give more damage, we are going to choose to block block with Chopper, redirecting the attack, resolving the attack, and now Chopper is deleted. But Captain Kid is so fed up of Zoro that he's gonna use his effect, trash one card from his hand, and now he's gonna unsuspend himself, resting 3 down cards. And now for the second swing onto Zoro, does check it, no blocker, and can't add more damage as a counter step. Zoro finally gets knocked out, and now heat is still there. And this is why you should read cards, because this one would have allowed me to suspend one of your opponent's characters, would have allowed me to suspend that Chopper and then go for that first swing over Zoro, unsuspending and being able to swing again. So reading is crucial. However, now we will use it for 2, resting a Brook here. Now Brook is rested, leaving Kid with 1 more active card. And here we go, we're gonna place 1 Don card on that Beepo. Beepo is gonna attack and swing into that Brook since he is at 4,000 now. Unfortunately, no blocker and no counter step to resolve. Now he will swing into Luffy with no blocker in play and no card to add more damage. The attack does resolve, finally hitting Luffy for 1 damage, getting a VV from life, and of course no trigger effect. And with no more actions left to do, Captain Kid unfortunately has to end turn. And here we go. Luffy unsuspends along with his character cards, adding Don cards now at 9. And now here Luffy has a chance to go for lethal, aka go for game, since there is no blockers that you potentially have 2 attacks so long as this kid doesn't counter. And that's what's cool about this countering system, where it kind of looks like, well, GG's, 2 swings, done. You don't know what's in hand, especially if they can counter and add more damage. Since we have so many Don cards here, we're gonna go ahead and give 1 to Jinbei, give another one to Jinbei, make them 7. Play a VV for 2, resting 1, using Luffy's effect to place 1 Don on the bottom of him, giving him another one, giving him another one, and here we go. We're just gonna distribute them here. And now with all those Don cards, now we're gonna go see if we can end game, starting with Jinbei swinging into that Eustace for 9,000 damage. We only have 2 options to give this Eustace 2k with the X-Drake and the Beepo. But before then, Jinbei does have a 1 attacking effect. When you have a Don card, your leader or one of your characters other than this card gains 1,000 power during this turn, giving Luffy another 1,000. No blocker, resolving the attack here. We're just gonna use him for the heck of it, reaching 7,000, resolving the attack, boom, gaining that life. And if that Capone would have been able to play from trigger, that would have changed things. And just like that, it is now Luffy for game.